something you love with a creative medium. We have our 3 guests here, and we have one more coming. And I'm just going to let them introduce themselves and talk about their work. And then we will do a Q&A, so get your thinking caps on and think of some questions for them. I'm just going to let you.
Hello. My name's Nicholas Herring. Hello. I've written 2 books here. They're part of my Robot War series, and they originally started out as a student film I was doing in college, and which fell apart because couldn't get funding from the school because they didn't like that I had characters drinking alcohol or whatever. So whatever. So I took the original script and I turned it into some books and cut out some of the campiness, but not all of it. But anyway, I write, and I also do some play acting. I'm currently also writing a script for the local theater, and I'm also a school teacher and judge little kids harshly. Yeah. Anyway, that's the short version, so I'll pass it on.
Hello, my name is Kendall R. Hart, and I have to use my middle initial because if you were to search my name, Kendall Hart, you will find only the soap opera character played by Rochelle Geller for many, many seasons. So it had to affect a new name, and so I just summoned forth my middle initial into my name so people could actually find out what I do. For 15 years, I was a graphic designer, and after my soul was thoroughly crushed and disappointingly not into a diamond instead, I then left, and I've been doing graphic design, freelance, mostly book design. I also do web design, but primarily I do life-size sculptures. You may have seen some on the table out in the guest row. I got started in the haunt industry a few years ago when I left my full-time job and was willing to take any work building life-size creatures. Out here in the Midwest, obviously, if you're not in Hollywood, you're probably not going to eat well, So I got my start at St. Louis at the Darkness. I still have 3 monsters on display there at their Monster Museum. And moved to Missouri, and long story short, I make books and I make monsters, and that's how I make a living.
Konnichiwa, minasan. I am Morgan Strong-Komnick, and I am the only female guest, so girls represent! Girl nerds! Woo! I was born and raised in Farmington, so I am a Farmington girl, and I am a huge otaku. That's a Japanese culture nerd, so I love Pokemon and all of that stuff, so please come talk to me at my table about that. The reason I'm here today is I'm also a writer, thanks to a teacher I had in 9th grade, Mr. Tim Danger. You might know him if you're a high school student. He inspired me to write, and my books are out on display. I write young adult works. I also do poetry, and I am branching out. Got lots of other books coming, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, just a little bit about me. I'm also a teacher. I'm the Truman Kindergarten Librarian. I taught middle school for 4 years, so hormones to snot, yay!
Okay, thank you. I'm going to get us started off on the Q&A. One of the things I've noticed about cons is that it's a celebration of uniqueness a lot of times, even though it is pop culture and mainstream. So I wanted to ask these guys, what is unique about your work? Who wants to start?
What I feel that is more unique about my work as opposed to others is, well, I started writing this book just because it was a story that was floating around in my head, and for the longest time, I just really wanted to write it after I saw how much time I was spending playing video games and stuff, which, you know, if you look in the long run, is sort of a kind of almost, oh, I scared them away. No, come back, come back. lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. I was going through a tough time in my life when I started writing it, or before I started writing it, and I realized that video games are a nice, fun distraction, but when you're trying to use them to fill a void, it's not worthwhile. So I decided to focus on writing the story to get it out, basically just to get it out of my head, so I could, think about something else. But as far as what uniqueness about it is, a lot of action, especially sci-fi action. It's very, I guess, violence-centric or male-centric. It's all about the action, and there's no real character development at all. But I've always been interested in how characters experience and deal with trauma. And a lot of action movies, you never really see that. Like this gung-ho action guy, just goes through all this crap and nothing ever seems to affect him all that much, and it never really struck me as very realistic. But oh yeah, another nice thing about it too is trying to portray a world somewhat realistically that's been dealing with this ongoing war between humans and robots for the last 40 years. I mean, if you can imagine how society would change that much. And I mean, people usually don't change. If anything from history has taught me is we're always basically going to be the same. Just what we do keeps screwing up all the time. But if anyone's familiar with World War II, or even currently right now, or War on Terror, and how everyone deals in the home front, for example, in our War on Terror, you have less than 1% of the population actually fighting or doing any kind of fighting. And I wanted to show how you can have a disconnect between people who are just watching TV all day, or just trying to ignore what's going on out there, and you have these soldiers that are fighting on the front lines and dying a lot of times, and just that disconnect between what's going on in the home front, and it's always kind of hard to explain, because you're trying to boil down a lot of complicated issues that I'm dealing with in the book, and trying to condense it down into this nice syllable or piece. And anyway, I started to ramble there.
So the question is, what makes your piece unique, or your work?
I think what makes my work unique is its sheer scale. I've been to quite a few conventions. Probably the largest is Dragon Con, and over the years I've only at Dragon Con ever see other life-size sculptures. Even doing a search for the techniques and examples is pretty hard to get any usable results. And more and more shows I attend to, I see that there's almost no one else doing it. I've had to make up everything on my own, learn and teach my own self. But probably again, the sheer scale of my work, most of them range about 7 to 8 foot tall for the humanoid creatures, and then up to 30 feet for the large scale dinosaurs, and so much so that I cannot bring them to shows. But and I think one thing about them being that size and seeing something that big in your world is it must be a surreal experiment or experience for people. I've seen people put down their phones and walk over, even in parking lots when I'm transporting these things. It seems to command their attention, and I don't know, I think they just really like to have that little spot of magic